Today, the House Budget Committee is marking up its budget blueprint. They're going to be going late into the night. Now, this is just one day after the Senate Republicans pushed their budget resolution out of committee yesterday by a vote of 11 to 10 along party lines. Now, Senate Budget Committee Chairman Lindsey Graham has framed his budget blueprint as a backup plan to the House efforts, saying that he's pulling for the one big beautiful bill. Well, now that that long-awaited bill has arrived, at least it's almost arrived, it's working its way through committee. Let's talk about what is in it and what it does and where it goes from here. Joining me now to discuss this, stepping out of the committee, is Congressman Ben Cline. He serves on 4 House committees, including the Budget Committee, the House Appropriations Committee. He represents the 6th Congressional District of the state of Virginia. Congressman Cline, welcome back to Washington Watch. Thanks for joining us.
Tony, always good to be with you.
So as House Budget Committee Chairman Jody Arrington highlighted this morning, this budget resolution is more than numbers on a ledger, more than just matching revenues with outlays. This is an important piece of legislation that a lot is riding on. Tell us why.
Well, it is the key that unlocks the process called reconciliation, which is the process where we can get tax cuts through, spending cuts through, and we don't need Democrat votes to do it. So it's going to be a conservative effort, but it's going to be over the next several months. This is the first step where the Budget Committee adopts the blueprint, and then the floor passes it, and then the committees, all of the authorizing committees, start digging in to find their savings so that we can pay for the tax cuts and help restore some fiscal responsibility to this budget process that's been off track for so long in Washington.
So talk a little bit about the annual deficit that we've been running and how this attempts to get at that deficit.
Sure. Well, as you know, we're more than $34 trillion in debt. The interest on the debt is more than our annual defense budget. It's gotten so bad, our annual deficit is running up over $1 trillion. It's actually closer to $2 trillion this year, and that's because Nancy Pelosi and Joe Biden blew open a giant spending hole in our budget with when COVID occurred, and they used the Inflation Reduction Act as a vehicle to send money to their Green New Deal projects. And that money, that spigot has not been turned off. We need to turn it off so that we can reduce that deficit to levels that are start to restore fiscal responsibility. And shrinking government spending is the way to do it. Donald Trump and Elon Musk have figured that out, and we're working hand in glove with them to make it happen.
I would think when you combine all of this, the desire to cut off that spigot, if you will, along with the Doge efforts, the Elon Musk that you mentioned, that somehow we should be able to get close to, I would hope, even arrive at a balanced budget. Do you see that in the future?
Well, I was the budget chairman of the Republican Study Committee, the largest caucus of Republicans in the House, and we adopted a balanced budget that balanced in 7 years. And so it is entirely possible. Now, you have to go after some programs and projects that are near and dear to the hearts of many moderate and liberal senators. And they are, if anything, clubby over there and like to stick together. So it's going to be hard to convince them and some of my colleagues, even on our side in the House, that they need to shrink these or eliminate altogether these programs that are really just fueling waste and fraud in these programs and need to be done away with. So we're working with Doge, and actually it's going to help. The work of Doge is helping to solidify our support on among the more moderate members, because they're seeing just what the art of the possible is.
Congressman Cline, I mean, you're very close to this. You're on the Budget Committee. You're on the finance. You're on the money committees. Our deficit, and I'm not talking about the debt, I'm talking about the deficit, these annual deficits that keep adding to the debt. This is unsustainable. I mean, we have to, even, if it touches these, sacred cows, so to speak, of some constituencies, the whole the whole ship could sink if we don't get this right.
Absolutely right. And Donald Trump has promised, and the House is not touching Social Security or Medicare benefits. Those recipients are going to continue to receive the benefits that they're entitled to. But what we do have are things like foreign aid programs, Department of Education programs, all of the Green New Deal energy subsidies that are going to come on the chopping block. And some folks, some of those Green New Deal subsidies have gone to folks in red states, and those folks are complaining that they don't want to see their Green New Deal subsidies go away. But for those colleagues of mine who are in those red states, who are on my side of the aisle, we have a responsibility to future generations to get our fiscal house in order and to get rid of these multi-trillion-dollar deficits that are really causing inflation to be so much worse,
right,
and really hurting families.
Well, it's immoral when we're spending money for future generations, and we've got to move beyond the parochial and what helps me out in my area to looking at what impacts the entire nation. Congressman Ben Cline, I want to thank you for joining us, and we'll obviously be tracking this as it makes its way through the committee, and I think a week after next will be out on the House floor, so it's going to be an interesting process to watch. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Tony. Good to be with you.